Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, friends and brothers, sisters, and colleagues all over the world. This is Schengen Story Media presentation, and today we are discussing something very, very relevant to each and every one of us here in Europe, most especially Nigerians and Africans in Europe. So I welcome you to our discussion on business, entrepreneurs, and the making of business activities in Europe. So here with me to discuss, to look into issues are brothers and friends that are like you and me. So what we did was the poster of this event shows three people wearing the African native dresses. And why we did that is because we want people to see the speakers like themselves. These are not Europeans, these are not strangers, these are Nigerians, Africans, black men, and what they will be saying will be relevant to us all. So I want to welcome, first of all, my very good friend, Right Honorable Mazi Ogaraku. Right Honorable Mazi Ogaraku majored in fabrication engineering, business management with law. He's a former technical instructor, Imo State Technological Skill Acquisition Center in Imo State, Nigeria. Mazi Ogaraku has served as a councillor in Padua. That is a city in Italy called Padova. Padua Municipal Council in Italy. Ogaraku has also represented the sub-Saharan African countries in various meetings. He has worked as a cultural mediator in Padua and has been on the board of trustee for the Igbo people in Bedford, UK. Mazi Ogaraku is pro Ndi Igbo of Europe, the Deputy Secretary of Imo State Leadership in Diaspora. So, Mr. Honorable Mazi Ogaraku, I welcome you to this
Thank you very much.
very great event. You're welcome, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, with us also to throw light into this wonderful discussion is my very good friend again, a visionary and inspiration to a lot of Africans in Europe. That's Mazi Azu, MBA Honorable. Mazi Azu is a leading political analyst, a renowned author, a community champion, an alumni of Beckborg College, University of London. Honorable Azu is also a professional associate of the Institute of Leadership and Management in the UK, a fellow Occupational Safety and Health Association in the UK also. Honorable Azu remains a very integral figure in the British and Nigerian community in Europe, worthy of appreciation and a true inspiration. He has been involved in so many activities. He's the welfare officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Organization Europe, that's NIDO. He's the publicity secretary also of the Council of Igbo Communities in the UK, the vice chairman of Abia State Indigene in Diaspora. And the list goes on and on and on. Honorable Azu, we are happy to have you in our midst. You have been a great inspiration, like the introduction says. So you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, my Honorable Mark, the great inspirator of the Nigerian community in Europe, the head and leader of the Schengen group of companies, including the magazines and the radios and the TVs and the PRs.
Thank you very much. I know you have so much to say. Yes. So today we are talking business, and we're talking business from a different angle. We're talking business from the angle of influencing motivating, and also awareness, opening the eyes of our people to an aspect that matters and we are not really looking into. So I'm going to open the floor with my great friend. But before then, I want us to know some of these salient points. One of it is that a lot of Africans come to Europe, a lot of Nigerians come to Europe with skills. A lot of them come to Europe with some ordinary skills, tailoring, shoemaking, clothes design, all kinds of skills. But they come to Europe and those skills are thrown under the bed and they find themselves working as every other person does. So there is a mindset that has rubbed on Africans and is playing real tricks on us. That mindset is come to Europe and work. Come to Europe and work in an established place. Come to Europe and work in a factory. Come to Europe and just get involved in an established outfit. Nobody is thinking of starting up something. Nobody is even thinking of those skills that they came with, skills they had back in Africa, how to use it while they are here. And when we have people even try to do something, we end up having very little impact. It normally ends with owning an African shop and probably owning a hair salon. These are the two major things Africans have been able to come up with in Europe. Meanwhile, there is an open space for business, open space for entrepreneurship, open space for so many innovative activities. So I'm opening the floor with my very good friend, Honorable Mazi Ogaraku. Ogaraku is going to take us on a 30 minutes lecture on networking and entrepreneurship. Am I correct, sir?
You're welcome.
Yes, so you're going to be on the focus. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my dear friend, Sir Massive Mark, the director of Schengen Story Media. A courageous step in an island, I must tell you. I want to thank my good friend as well, RT Hon. I know your substance, and I look forward to sharing with you those great experiences. Honestly, today, I will take us to a level, all of us, average level, put it this way, to be able to understand where we are, mostly Nigerians and Africans in Europe. What is the idea of going to overseas for the first time? That should be where we should be starting. Most people in the early 60s, Africa, using Nigeria as a good example, has very few high institutions, very few universities, and few other forms of institution, colleges of education. We had very few. Nigeria can name about 7 universities with a population then of over 70 million. So not only that, it is also believed that we were not prepared. So most of our scholars were sent outside to go and train and come back. And the trend then was to go get trained, and when you come back, you assume you get a job. Give you a job, give you a house, give you a car. I remember at the time the Volkswagen was one of the, if you work the first 3 months, you have your Volkswagen. And then maybe the next 1 year, you have your first 404, later 504 Peugeot, which was official car of Nigeria. Life was good. When somebody, once you leave TTC then, and start teaching, you can be able to buy yourself a motorcycle in the first or second salary. So life was good. This was going. And this went on
until around 1980, when we tried to have what we call the democracy. And this democracy opened opportunities, good ones supposed to be. Other people participated in the government, and what seems to be the privilege of the few in leadership was shared by many. That simply means you have more councillors, we have local government chairmen, we have governors, civilian governors, we have their heads, special assistant commissioners, this and that. All these people participated government. That's what democracy is all about. It's a very much welcomed development. However, it's like this political intake was not much prepared or inherited what they were not very much ready to manage. And or being inexperienced as well, that even the little error that's supposed to be a democratic process was seen as incapacitations. And before you know it, the military came in, and then Nigeria got things wrong. Military came in and then narrowed a road that has been wide to a good extent. They narrowed it back again. So a lot of people hadn't opportunity anymore. And the good number, that's where this issue take me to, good number of people who were overseas studying to come back and take a job could not be reassumed again. So a greater percentage of people started remaining where they were. They studied in the United States, in the United Kingdom, some in Germany. And by the time they were not promised of a job, they could not come back. Some people who left even ministries and the other public offices and then went overseas to study. And when they were not guaranteed of their job, or even when some people will come in and then after some time they will be sacked of the job, this made a lot of people insecure. And more importantly, I must be honest to you, there was a sectionalism on this issue. At the time, the issue merit was no longer given its a place in the social sector. With this, people started staying home, staying overseas. And when you stay after study, you stay overseas, there are two things that will happen there. Either you have not married and definitely a young man and your woman is working, before you know it, you got married to a white person, or you come home, take one, anybody may have had before, marry, and then think of taking him or her overseas. Or the other way around, when you take all this relative over here, the next thing will be to help your own people. If you are a businessman like in Ochenja Market or Oshodi Market or Nitame Market, what you do is to bring your own people and train them. They serve you for some years. Is that not right? And then you support them to be on their own. If you're overseas and you don't have a market, what will you do? What you do is to give what you have. Is that what we do? That's exactly what happened. And then before you know it, people started inviting their wives, their children, their brothers, their sisters overseas. And life started that way. And the funny thing is that despite the fact that overseas is not easy life for nobody, the very few people, after no matter how many years you may have suffered, as soon as you get home, you within that short period of time, it seems you have cash. And everybody looking at you as being successful. And every other person will say, they must do what you did. Even if it means to go to Europe and then be a toilet cleaner, be a plate washer. So far, Mr. This or Mr. That did it and it's this way, I want to do it. This is how people started risking their life over and doing all it takes to get themselves over to Europe. Then what happened again? Many people, I remember when I came in here early 90s, you will be living for a place without knowing where you are going. Let that one be clear. You go in and pick what do you call it, hotel reservation as your address. And then when you get in here, you go to the hotel and they know how a hotel costs. Maybe you pick a hotel very heavy, you don't even know the cost from where you are. By the time you come here, then you are paying 150 euro or pound for a hotel. I happen how many people will be able to keep it for 3 days. Even if they have booked there for 10 days, once they see the price, the next day they will leave. Even if they have their money, they leave it there. Some other people leave without paying. I'm sorry to say this. Having said this, when such a person leaves the environment you do not know, and the more difficult thing that a lot of people had, mostly those who find themselves in other parts of Europe that are not the United Kingdom or English-speaking area, you got in, even the basic background you have got blown down. By the time you go to a country, and then even if you're a graduate, even if you have a bigger degree, master's, PhD, whatever you may have, and if you get to a country where you cannot speak the language, you can't even say your name, how will you perform? What will you do? Even if you are given the job, what will you do? And it's not every people that were linguistically inclined. So some people, even with their education, couldn't even speak some foreign languages. And then what happens? Immediately you have this shock. What you do is to bring yourself down to the list of things you can be able to do, what environment permits you to do. And when you refer to what people can do is African shop, hairdressing, maybe some people drove lorries, and all this came even later. At the beginning, nobody, because even the country we came into weren't ready for you. There was no chance of what you can be able to do. A lot of people fought to know what they can be able to do with time. At first, you are not. First of all, some people came in without having even regular permit of stay. Without regular permit of stay in Europe, you cannot work. Without work, you cannot have money. No matter how much you may have come up with, before you know it, you spend it in 6 months. So it was a shock for an African to leave home, and some of them, a lot of people left as young people without enough experience. I must tell you, without enough. Some of them were not independent before leaving. They have not lived on their own for the first time, and then they leave, and you are encouraged to leave. And then when you get in there, you start doing what we can do. Now, and the other problem we have is that Africa hadn't somehow sellable, their own made sellable products. Over here today, you can also, whenever you see Chinese restaurant, you see Indian restaurant, you see, and this is a restaurant, is not only that it serves their people, they have brought it to some level of performance that people will like to come in, even as international guests. Most time, because most of the things, just like Massive Mark rightly said, we start our things in a very poor manner. And thereby, sometimes you will not get a very sound environment to get it done. And then sometimes they look down on every attempt Africans made to establish in Europe. What have I said before? You have the language problem. You have the, what do you call it, economic problem. You have even the acceptance problem. There's a lot of issues that has been dampening Africans. And how does this lead to everybody trying to survive on his own? Only on his own. People, the person who opens what do you call it, some African market in Padua does not know who is doing something in Bologna, does not know who is doing something in Spain, does not know who is doing something in Germany, does not know anybody everybody is doing it on his own. And sometimes what it means, you will travel from your country of base to Nigeria, go and buy those things and then bring them back. Let me give you one practical experience I had. Sometime a man opened the African shop here, just like to start from there. And they brought in a lot of staple food from Nigeria. And the price was fairly high. So I told him, brother, these products are high, the costs are high. Why? He said, we flew it to here, we flew it. Because of that, we have to pay for the cost of the ticket, not shipment. Yes, if you're an individual running it, what will you do? That's definitely what you do. And when you are fleeing it, you're not paying the cost of the product alone. You are also paying the cost of the transport, the logistics, the person proper. You have to cover it up. And then that's why when you go to every African product, the costs are high. Let me take us to how some other people does theirs. Indians, Chinese. Okay, let me give you the city I lived for roughly 15 years before I left. It's called the Padua. The very group of people who opened African shop in Padua were Nigerians. 2 Nigerians. And it was booming, as the case may be. Everybody, in fact, I remember, if I give you my example, for a good number of years we stayed in Italy, we cannot eat African food. Where will you get all those? It wasn't existing. It took up to 4 years or 5 before this African shop was opened. And when it came, everybody went in there with joy, looking for lubu, looking for ogu, looking for this or that. All those things that come from there. We weren't looking at the price. We're looking at the joy of having the taste of your culture. Okay. These markets went in for some time until the Chinese came in with African shop as well. But because the Chinese who brought the African shop in Padua had his office in somewhere in Verona and has branches in almost all the provinces. So what does that mean? That simply means he imports everything by container and then distribute to the people around. So they don't need to move to go to their country to bring the product. They get it from there. So this idea of having somebody or a group of people coming together to bringing the product from China to Italy and then distribute it to their people is what is called networking. That brings us to the topic we're talking about today. This networking is not working very well with Africans. And this is not helping us in any way. What is networking? Before now, when you have a business, when you meet somebody, the first thing you do is to share your card, business card. This business card has your name or name of the business, your phone number, this or that. It's still there. It's a technology, is a system that has been overtaken by time. Now everybody wants you to own a website. Not only own a website, create a website that you'll be able to pay online. Have what do you call it, courier delivery at home. So one can be at the comfort of his home, buy your product, and then get it at home consumed. And how can you still have to buy a product you know about? That simply means now you don't just sell a goosey the way we normally cover it in a white paper, and then one knows it's a goosey or whatever. It must have to be labeled. Name, the ingredients, botanical name, and every other thing, and then expiration date. And not only saying this, it should be effective, because if this anybody eats your product and then it gets affected, you pay for it. It becomes issue. Life insurance is there. Africans don't take most of this level of risk because they feel it is a waste of money. We need it instant. But by the time you put your product online, or by the time you put your product on by website, and people can be able to read and know what is the content, not only that, they will not disturb you much in the shops. Now that look at most of the cities, our big shops are closing. Technology has overtaken things. Everything is done online, including your food, I must say. So the networking, how is it affecting Nigerians? I must encourage Schengen Story Media for having the courage, and more importantly, doing something very, very important, looking for people from, if you look at it, I am director of Schengen, representing this company in London. I have my friend in Spain, in almost all parts of Europe now. We are trying to get people who are part of this Schengen. This is a very practical example of networking. What will this do? It will be able to give Schengen a more link to the varieties of information that is happening in and at least around Europe. I've known about other magazines that are working. I know of could have been a forum for publicity for other magazines, but I know other Nigeria-related, Africa-related organizations that they may be doing theirs. But what I want to say is that once your product is only for your own people, you find it difficult to grow. You should find a way to sell yourself to others. And then the way to sell yourself to others is to buy the link of the others and then join yours. That's what is called framework of activities. One man gave us a lecture on business life of Africans in America. He referred this even to the church engagement, business engagement, academic engagement, everything that has to do with us. You will see every African doing one mega thing here or the other. the other, one city or the other, but they don't have any link with the other. Not only that, they don't have other link. Sometimes they have to put themselves in competition with the others. Sometimes unhealthy competition. Sometimes I said unhealthy competition, because when you are trying to bring the next person down in order to grow, it is called unhealthy competition. Competition can be right if it is healthy. So the issue of networking in businesses in Africa, just like we say, I remember as a councillor in Italy, we promoted a movement that was going to all the shops, because that time we had, in addition to African shop, saloons, then you start coming that of Middle Eastern Europe, coming with their kebab and different forms of things that are those type of food. That we established a forum that we were visiting and then the Bangladesh people started coming with their, what do you call it, the vegetable market. And some of them, then some other people joined selling clothes in the what they call open market. So, but it took time for this form of integration. But what I want to tell you now is some of these areas I mentioned now, Africans weren't able to engage. One of the reasons they couldn't engage is the prejudice that always has gone with the color. Let us not hide this idea. There has always been that. And then because as well, we do not have this, what I have said again, our marketing product from home. Because when you look to, what do you call it, Asians today, there's things that are known that are coming from them, if not for any other thing. They are the producers of all the peppers you eat in Europe. Pepper. Maybe for us, pepper, one may not think pepper is something important, but it is an industry that has grown for roughly 100 years in most Asian countries. They have produced it in different tastes and in different forms. As at now, something like palm oil is supposed to have been a product that Nigeria are known for and should be consumed by all. So there's need for marketing of our product, there's need for branding of African projects. And this is not done by an individual. It should be government policy. It should be a kind of government agencies policy. It will be a group of people coming together to make it work. And it is when you have this networking of people working on a given product, then it will have a name, to have a standard. And then if there's even default on it, it can be improved and then bring it to a point of recognition by the world. So Africans, again, another issue is that we are sometimes people of dignified nature. I know some other Asian people who can be able to live in 10, 20 in one room, cook in one plate, eat in the same tray, wife and children and mother and father all eating together. Some African countries are not in this inclination. So because we are individualistic attitude, it makes it that sometimes you find it difficult to work with others because you try to keep a standard, another person try to keep a standard, we also try to be, what do you call it, egalitarian in what we do, so that people identify and know this is what this person is doing. While it is not a wrong attitude, but it can still be managed. It can be managed by what is called cooperative. The word is called cooperative. Cooperative is a participation of people where they are not under you. Everybody is almost equal in participation. The differences in your relationship may be the quota with which you have in engagement, investment you have in the cooperative. But the idea is the management, and the idea is by the people and then by the majority of the people's vote. By the time we're able to create cooperative is a coming together of more than more people. More people coming together to do things together. They will invest either at their time, or they will also come together to bring a product they will share within themselves, or use themselves to be the source of its distribution to the grassroots. This attitude is working some places, is not always working in some other places. Our people has always had this idea of trying to develop themselves. It's not bad. But we have to harmonize the relationship between everything that will make us to be able to distribute what we have in such a manner that it will not be heavy for you who seems to be privileged to do it, and it will not be costly for even those who could not be able to do it. What am I saying there? If I should go back by what I said before, where a good example of a proprietor who brought in some staple food from Africa, and then his reason for raising the price is because, according to him, he flew it instead of shipping it. And then automatically the product will pay for its cost. And then that simply means if I have gone to this point to get 10 peers, by the cost, I may decide to take 5. And what happened? If the remaining were not or unable to be sold because our products are not insured, if they could not sell it, what will go? It will go to a waste, or you yourself may consume it yourself. But does it help you much like that? However, if these prices on this are somehow competitive, one can take more, encourage people to come around. So networking is a character that must be built if we should grow as a people. Because one thing again is that if I knew that through you, I am somebody, the need for me to respect you, to acknowledge who you are, to appreciate you is more than important, is there to be seen. But if I know I can, even if I'm dying, but I can do nothing without you, your influence, your assistance, your connection are not helping me or being part of me, then you don't expect much of respect. We can exist, but you don't think of respect. So when you see cooperation among some people and some culture, it is because they are interconnected. This interconnection is the result of cooperation, and this cooperation is the extension of what's called networking. Because through the sources of one person or the other, you can be able to get either the source of a raw material or to the end source of the consumption. What are we saying here? We think of most of the product that Africa is the home for almost the source of all the raw materials the world are using today. From staple food to precious metals, from staple materials. And then, while we are not yet to harmonize all these things to be our own, because some people come in and buy these things as a raw materials, go over there, refine it and give it a name and bring it back to us. That we cannot claim them to be ours. Until the system comes in a place to be able to make Africans the owners of the end product that comes from their land, then we can be able to have that voice. Because when I'm selling pear, I know that it's a pear from Africa or Nigeria or a given place. And then you have to think of the sustainability of whatever you're doing, because if you don't sustain what you're doing, the end of such product is so near. What does that mean? If you don't make sure that what you are using to make a given production is sustained so that it continues to grow and replenish itself, then that simply means you are working towards an end of such product. That simply means whatever product you have will end one day. And if you have a fear that your product will end one day, then the future is not much there.
Yes.
So, having said this, I think it is time for Africans, for Nigerians, because when for you to be able to cooperate, for you to be able to be part of an organ, you must have to know your roots. Said he who doesn't know his root doesn't know his identity. So we have to come from where we are coming from, where our origin, what we have to offer. How do we harmonize these things to join either the structural arrangement from the root to the country to the continent to world, to be able to compete effectively? And then your own people, my own people would then be representative of this product. Thereby, in this case, we would, wherever we are, whenever I see my product or product being sold by an African or being represented by African, I know he's representing me too, whether I am there or not. And that will make me to defend it, whether I am benefiting direct or indirect from it. So networking is a very important aspect of business, which Africans need to create in Europe, despite these difficulties I've mentioned before, which includes the language, which includes even the changes in technology, which includes even some prejudice that exist. But you have to overrun this and then make sure that now that we have come to stay, just like I've said, we have to be part of the society. Yes, generations that are born here, our own generations that are born here, may come at a time they will regret being, because they will feel that they are in an island, put it this way. So I want to thank you all for listening to me. It's a very interesting topic. And by the time Africans start reasoning together over this circumstance, I think it will help us to get the right route, even in the diaspora, which we call our home away from home. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's my great friend, Honorable Mazi Ogaraku. Thank you so much. You have thrown the light. I want you to know that it is a series event, and believe me, you are going to see a wonderful thing that will happen from this event. So this is the first lecture series, and we are talking intellectual, we're talking knowledge-based discussions that will uplift and improve our African community in Europe. Thank you once again. You've covered a lot, and I know you still have so much more to offer. So we are moving up again, and we still have to go deeper in this great issue. With us again, coming up is our great friend, Mazi Azu, Godson. Mazi Azu is going to throw some light into this same topic, and we will sit back and listen to him. So Mazi Azu, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you very much. It's been great to join this wonderful, inspiring, and engaging discussion this afternoon. I want to appreciate the presentation by my very good friend and colleague there, Mr. Mazi Azu. And I think this will be another new dimension in helping to drive a new spanner on the works with regards to the social re-engineering of our diasporan business community and social entrepreneurship network body across the UK and Europe, and most essentially every other diasporan places where we have our Nigerians. Just like my colleague have said there with regards to the nature of our, especially the Nigerian diasporan historic perspective in terms of where we come from and where we have journeyed so far, and the intended hope of the future of our diasporan business community. Yes, it is very well known and probably not well documented, but many through passage of narratives have been able to understand that many Nigerians traveled out of Nigeria to Europe and America for a better, greener pasture, especially improving on their educational qualities and self development. And many others couldn't find themselves in the area of academic pursuit, ended up in different forms of labor force work across Europe and America. in order to be able to put themselves in a position where they can gradually build up their career pursuit or their future ventures in the diaspora. And reason being the fact that not many had the opportunity to come to the diaspora through scholarships or sponsored academic programs. A lot of people came in so many different challenging situations to Europe and America and paid a lot of money to get where they are. And getting there, many found themselves in countries where they have to, first of all, learn the language, understand the culture, get a good grips of the social fundamentals of that society, and also then begin to understand the economic capacities of the community they find themselves in Europe. And it took a lot of most people probably between 10 to 15 years to be able to settle down in various places in order to either find themselves into any form of academic career line or get themselves involved in any business venture. You know very well that many of us know very well that in Nigeria, we have three key major tribes. And these three key major tribes have three different forms of entrepreneurship skills. And they have been known with this entrepreneurship skill for generations. And some of those who came over to the diaspora obviously came through some of these home-built, naturally and traditionally conceived entrepreneurship embodiment from Nigeria. But because of the constraint of the society in which they found themselves in Europe or in the UK, they kind of lost impetus of the skills, the natural skills or the traditional skills or the cultural skills they gained from their parents, from their relations in entrepreneurship engagement. Knowing very well that when you talk about entrepreneurship, you talk about people who are able to create and grow an enterprise. An enterprise is anything that can generate you financial outcome and emotional benefit and satisfaction. For you to be able to have that confidence to do that, you need to find yourself in an environment that allows you to flourish and to explore the opportunities and to engage. It took a lot of the Nigerian diasporans years to be able to compete with other ethnic nationalities in the diaspora in order to pitch their various business skills or entrepreneurship qualities in many places across Europe and in the UK. Obviously, knowing very well that when you talk about an entrepreneur, if we talk about the entrepreneurships, the entrepreneurship also is the collective of entrepreneurs who have explored the opportunities, who have seen the challenges, who have gone through the strengths and weaknesses of being an entrepreneur, and are willing and prepared to share these skills and opportunity with both existing entrepreneurs and the upcoming startup entrepreneurs. Today, we know what is called startup entrepreneurs. But you remember, some of us from the Southeast, we remember that what the Englishman calls the startup entrepreneurs is what the Igbos call Nwaboy, apprentice. Yes. Apprentice in the Igbo trading community, whereby when you serve your master for 5 good years, after the service, your master raises a fund to start you up your own business. And in starting you up, you become a new startup. And the new startup becomes a partner of your boss investment or business. So startup is an English innovation of this century, but this has been a lifelong historic tradition among the Igbos for generations on building people from within the community. And we failed to bring such ideas for many who came over to the diaspora to develop those contexts of building people through the body of people and the commune, and in order to strengthen our community and our business community in the diaspora. Just like Mr. Matthew said, other ethnic nationalities thrived so much in this commune, in this building people within the community, such as you see, when the Indians or the Pakis came to this country, most of the corner shops were run by the Irish or the Scottish, a few English people. But then when the Pakis came and they saw the opportunity, and they took advantage of it when many of these Irish or Scottish or whatever were going into retirement, and then they are relocating to holiday homes in France and in Italy and in Spain, and they needed to sell off their shops or their business, their small businesses. What these Paki and Indians did was, through their collective cooperatives in their socio-cultural and socio-religious circles, raised money and supported each person to own a shop. And what they did was, they give you money to buy a shop, you trade in that shop and raise money, refund back, and then help somebody else to buy another shop. So before you knew it, through a very strong inward, highly secretive system of community engagement, they were able to own as many as over, if I'm not mistaken, probably about 5,000 corner shops across ups and down of the United Kingdom. And from that, they started owning a lot of big supermarkets also in the early 2000s, and a lot of other businesses that were run by English people or the Scottish people. These guys started buying them off because they were able to, through their collective body of entrepreneurs, collective social engagement circles, were able to sensitize their members, sensitize their community, inform their community. Because one thing you have to understand about entrepreneurship is the ability to know, the ability to understand what is going on around you, self-awareness of your immediate community, the ability to share quality information that can be of great benefit to you and the rest of the community, the ability to work together in achieving that important opportunity that comes the way to you as an individual, as a community. The Nigerian community failed very well in this aspect in the early years, but the Pakis, the Indians, the Bangladesh, the Chinese, the Israelis were very good in making this a principle of acquiring as much businesses, as much entrepreneurship networks around in the UK, and I know as well in Europe, to themselves through their individual bodies. And so, how do we get this result? My friend here talked about networking. Yeah, they said that networking, your net value, your network is your net value. Your network is your net value. It is a very important phrase within the business networking circle that many public speakers now use it as a frame to highlighting the importance of joining very reputable, economical and business-minded, entrepreneurship-minded networks. Because the more networks you have, the more the values that you build in yourself and within yourself to achieve in whatever you want to do. And so I know that in recent years, I think in the last 5 years or so, there have been so many Nigerians now, especially in the UK, creating so many all forms and difference of business networking platforms to encourage one another to go into all forms of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship and startup these days are beyond buying and selling. Just like Matthew said, owning corner shops or owning African shop or owning a barbing saloon or owning a hairdressing salon or a restaurant. But anyway, these are one of the key businesses that create identity and create cultural balance in a society. And so I will not say we should not be owning such, encouraging people to own such businesses, because when you talk about entrepreneur in the diaspora and in the diasporan community, you have to first of all look at the economic conditionalities of the community and the diasporans themselves. Two, you have to look at the cultural conditionality of the community they find themselves, and they themselves, the cultural orientation they have come with. Are they willing to assimilate, adapt, orientate, and culturalization, making sure that you do not get carried away by the Italian culture or Spanish culture or in French culture or English culture, and not being so stupid not to know that you have to let go some certain elements of your own Nigerian culture in order for you to be regarded as somebody who is exposed and knowledgeable within the international framework or the international realm of community engagement. And so we look at the cultural conditionality, why we have problems with our communities aspiring and flourishing in business entrepreneurship. And secondly, we look at the social conditionality. What are the social conditionality? Are we only interested in partying? Are we only interested in going to nightclubs? Are we only interested in meeting at social village association meetings? And then we insult ourselves and drink beer and whiskey, and then we go home and we go back to our picking tomatoes and picking apple or picking onions in the farm, and then we make 2-3 pounds. We send 2 pounds back to Nigeria and keep 1 pound with us in Italy and France and Spain and the UK. What is the social conditionality of the mindset of the Nigerian community in the diaspora? So we look at that, and then we look at the psychological, because one of the greatest challenge we have is the psychological conditionality of many Nigerians in the diaspora. When you tell somebody, oh, my brother, I have this business idea, but I don't have enough money. Can we join together to do this business and see how we can flourish? The first thing that comes to the mind of the other person is, who keeps the money? How much money are you bringing? How do I get my profit? What is the profit margin? Who pays the profit? You know, all he's interested is about how he gets the money he's putting back or how he doesn't get the money. And then how can I trust you? You see, when this psychological mindset of money before the sacrifice of building a business is a very big problem, why we are still struggling to be a big player in the entrepreneurship circle in our various diasporan community. And know very well, when we talk about the entrepreneurship services that we provide these days, we can realize, I know that in Italy, there are very few Nigerians who are now qualified lawyers in Italy, helping Nigerians, instead of Nigerians to go to Italian lawyers or go to Moroccan lawyers or Algerian lawyers. They go to a proper, reputable Nigerian qualified Italian lawyer that understands the Italian law. And the only way we can do that is by getting into this various conditionality, making our Nigerians understand that the only way we can compete with other ethnic nationalities in the bigger picture of our diasporan community business venture is to patronize our Nigerian entrepreneurs, patronize. And by patronizing our Nigerian entrepreneurs, we encourage them to become more confident in what they are doing, more determined to do greater things within what they are doing, and more self-reliance, and be ready to take more greater risk. Because to be an entrepreneur, you must be prepared to take greater risk of investment for a return. And if you don't see that support within the community to support you, not only the African, if somebody owns an African shop in Italy, in Padova, or in Rome, in Milan, or in Paris, or in Barcelona, in Madrid, he should be able to find a Nigerian that is a lawyer or an accountant that keeps his book for him, rather than being a shopkeeper that will go and look for a Spanish or a French or a German person to be your accountant or lawyer. And then you take the money you make from your shop and go and pay that person. Whereas in that community, there is a young, upcoming, or a struggling lawyer, accountant, book, what do you call them? An insurance person who you can equally take your money to. Because that man, when he makes little money from other people, he comes to your shop to spend that money he makes. Why must he bring his money to buy in your shop? And then when you finish your business in the week, in the month, you go and take your 20 euro or 30 euro and go and give to a Spanish or a German person to do your accounts for you. When that Spanish or Italian or whatever does not even come to shop in your shop. From year to year, he doesn't care whether you survive in your shop or not. But the Nigerians who come and patronize you, in your own moral quantification, you do not justify it good enough to also find a Nigerian who is an accountant, a Nigerian who is a lawyer, or a Nigerian who is whatever, that can be of a good service to you, and pay him some money too, so he can grow, and encourage others to patronize him. So we ought to understand these key factors, because these key factors are going to help us in how we engage ourselves in terms of the power networking. Power networking is the greatest element of bringing people to the subconsciousness of the potentials and the opportunities of business outlets in the community. Because if you are not within, like Matthew said, many people came here to study, to become doctors and work as doctors and whatever. Some came to study as law and they work in a company forever. You understand? Many were not thinking, because to be an entrepreneur, you must be creative, you must be thinking, you must be looking out for opportunities. You must be ready to take those opportunities. You must be prepared to take the risk, and you must be flexible. You do not say because you are working 9 to 5, you don't want to do anything else. If you want to do 9 to 5 and you don't want to do anything else, then you are not part of the society we are living in today. Because an entrepreneur must live in the world of realism, must live in the realistic, must believe that this world is changing, and is changing speedily and radically. And you have to also change, because the only thing that brings about change is change. So if you remain fixed and static in what you do without thinking about the change phenomenon around the society, the community, then you are absolutely not in that society. You are living in an illusionary world, and in self-isolation of yourself from the rest of the reality. And so Nigerian community, like I have always said to people here in the Nigerian community, if you're a social worker and you're working as a social worker, look for income streaming businesses that you can add up to your social work. Look for business opportunities. You can, even though you cannot participate in that business, be a silent partner. Invest your little money. Believe in that person who is going to devote his time and effort to run that business and make it work. But when the business works and he makes profit, he can give you back some dividends of that profit. But because without you helping him to support him, he may not be able to keep that dream and sustain that dream and make that dream a reality. I have for example, I have a business idea that was brought to me. And when I looked at the business idea, and I said, oh, this idea must be very good. But then I wasn't very sure of the potentials of marketing this business idea, as it were, when they shared the idea. The person who shared the idea to me is a Nigerian. He's a Nigerian, and he felt she'd been seeing me, what I'm doing, and he felt that I have that potential to promote this business as my own business, So he brought this mosquito, the mosquito repellent product, which was produced in Germany. And when we started the discussion, we were not too sure if UK was going out of Europe or not going out of Europe. But while we were on the discussion, we ended up agreeing to go into the business when the UK finally left Europe. But that did not deter our commitment. It did not stop our confidence in the fact that, irrespective of the fact that we have to bring the product from Germany to the UK and then begin to take it to Nigeria for some reasons at that point, I was able to have a business discussion with two other friends I know I'm close to, and I pitched the business to them, and they said, "Oh, fantastic, we'll be interested." You understand? And these are Nigerian guys, and then they said, "Wow, how can we be part of it?" And I said to them, "Look, you can be part of it. You just bring this particular amount of money, and then we'll put it together, and then we can start running this business together." And that's how we started the mosquito investment portfolio, which we are doing at the moment, and we are working hard on it to ensure that by the time we finish all the necessary portfolio documentations and necessary regulatory processes, we'll be able to get 1 or 2 or 3 other Nigerians who would have seen what we have done, seen the progress we have made, that will want to invest into the business. That is the only way we can survive in this community. And that is why the likes of Olu. I know that you people see Olu in Italy, yes, and in France there. Olu and Ade Foods started as individuals. They started with one small shop. I know both people. I know both business guys. I know them very well, and I know how they started with one corner shop. But today, through venture partnerships, through collaborative and informative dissemination of their business network across the Nigerian community here in the UK, Olu Ade Food have become one of the big competitors in the importation of Nigerian goods to the UK. I can tell you, I can rest assure you that today they can stand at least side by side with some of the biggest Pakistani and Indian importers of all kinds of Nigerian condiments from Nigeria and across Africa. And that is as a result of the new innovations of the network, the new mindset that a lot of people are building in the Nigerian community, especially here in the UK. Today we have today we have the Nigerian Laws Forum, a forum of Nigerians who are qualified solicitors and lawyers in the UK. And they are growing day by day. Why? Because many Nigerians now are investing into their businesses. Many Nigerians who have problems, immigrational problem, company problem, whatever, are now engaging our Nigerian qualified lawyers as their solicitors. So also we have the Nigerian Chartered Accountant Association in the UK, which has the members of Nigerians who are practicing accountants, who owns their own accounting firms across London, Manchester, Birmingham, Edinburgh, and they are growing. And the growth of the individual businesses is encouraging. Why? Because people are beginning to have that awareness that if we do not do better than what the Pakis are doing, what the Indians are doing, we will become economic slaves to these communities.
Thank you.
Because we will make money from our Nigerian communities, and then we'll go and pay an Indian person or a Pakistani person for services that we cannot render within our community. So it's very obvious that networking is a very strong element of our community that we need to work, strengthen, develop, engage, and communicate to our people, irrespective of when they came to Europe or when they arrive in the UK. But the most important thing is we begin to strengthen these entrepreneurs networking platforms in order to give a sense of belonging to many of our Nigerians. There are people who are looking for what to do, but they are looking for role models. And there are role models. I am a role model. You are a role model. Alistair Shoyode is a role model. He made it possible for a lot of people within the African and Nigerian community to begin to look into the media industry, developing TV stations, developing online TV platforms, developing newspapers. You understand? There are so many other Nigerian role models we have across the UK and Europe who people are looking up to see how did they survive? How was he able to build this enterprise? How was he or she able to? There's a lady that's running the a Medicare app that Nigerian government and the British government are using for people to pay for their COVID. A lot of us patronize the lady. He's a Nigerian. He's a medical doctor, but he developed this app that you can go and apply to pay the medical fees of your parents in Nigeria. While you are here, you pay. They are in Nigeria, you pay their fees for medical treatment and whatever. And any hospital in Nigeria will treat them. And then when COVID came, she became one of the agents of the British COVID laboratories that you pay money. And many of us patronize her. Instead of going to give the money, most of the time, to the British-owned laboratories or whatever, we engage her platform to get our COVID tests. I used it when I was going to Nigeria. I used it when I was coming back from Nigeria. So it's one of those things we need to be doing for ourselves. We have to know, we have to understand information, communication, information and communication, very, very key. We have to know who in the community has a business that is Nigerian owned business. How do we support that individual or that group of business people? How do we know the benefit of growing our own business community in our various community, irrespective of where we are across UK and Europe? Is very important. Sharing information, gathering information, disseminating good information. Because why is it that the Pakis owns a lot of things? They have people in the councils. They have people who work in the local councils. There's people tells them when the council is about to auction anything, when the council is about to give out anything, they are the first to know. But not unfortunately, we realize that they are not the first to know, in the sense that equally there are some councils where we have enough Nigerians working. But you know what they do? They hear the information, they keep it to their pocket, in their jacket, to their own benefit alone, and walk around. In their own eye, they see their Indian colleagues sharing the loot of the community, of the council, to their own benefit. But the Nigerian man will keep what he will share with his brothers. He will keep it. If they say they're giving 5 houses for the community, instead of him to say, "Oh boy, come, put your name," he will put his name, put his daughter, his wife, and everybody, and they will go and take the thing until it becomes a fraud. And that is why most of them end up being identified as frauds, rather than there's nobody that is more fraudulent than the Pakis and whatever in this system. But they do it in a way that you cannot detect fraud within it. But you see, information is very vital. And because we are so psychologically self-centered, we do not want to devote opportunities. Like when they were doing palliative in the UK, a lot of Nigerians who knew about what the palliative was not able to, we are not ready to share it with anybody who is not aware. People were getting to know about the palliative when it's almost, the people have already taken everything. You understand? So it is important that if we want to grow our entrepreneurship opportunities, we want to establish ourselves as strong competitors of business opportunities in our communities in the diaspora, we have to be prepared to gather information, share information, communicate it properly, give guidance, support one another for these opportunities. And by the time the other ethnic nationalities in the UK or Europe begin to realize that, these Nigerian people, they have woken up, it's like they know what we are doing, they know how things are going now. You will find out that they will start restraining. They start restraining. But if we don't get into this strategy, we don't get into this knowing, then we will continue to struggle in our communities. We'll continue to work in different dimensions and in different, as the wind blows us. And then at the end of the day, we still find out that the little money we are making, we are giving it back to the British people or the European people, and notwithstanding that driving a big car and living in a very flashy place is not all that it matters. It's
Thank
about
you.
how many people you are able to build and develop.
Wonderful. This is eye-opening. This is so much of an insight. Thank you so much, Mazi Azu. God saying, Mazi Azu has given his own take on this great issue we are deliberating on. Gentlemen, once again, I want to say this is just part one. We are going to be having series, and there will be a moment also where crowd will come and many more questions will be pouring out. But for today, there are one question each for each of you. I'll go back to my Honorable Matthew Ogaraku. Matthew Ogaraku, there's just one question for you here. And that question is this, it goes thus. It says, Europe is not very capitalist. Europe claims to be a capitalist environment. That is a system where the machinery for production is in the hands of people, or in the hands of those that can make use of things and do something from it. But Europe is not really like that. Europe doesn't really support entrepreneurship. It's not that they don't support, but the factors around, like some of the things you said, it doesn't give room to push those factors. So how do we go against this European mentality that is not very capitalist? What do we do as a community of people that want to build our enterprises, that want to build our business when we are in a place, for example, the UK has what they call the Anglo-Saxon model of capitalism. Sweden, Denmark, France, Germany all have what you call continental European model of capitalism. It has how they put it. So, and all this indirectly means that people, you're not open. These opportunities are not very open to mostly foreigners like that to go into business, not just African shop business, not just hair barbing salon business, but become business people doing things like we talked of some of the skills some of us came up here with. Some people here are skilled in tailoring, but they end up working in a fabrica, in a factory. Some people here are skilled in shoemaking, and they can do it on their own. So how do we go against this European factor that doesn't support entrepreneurs? Mr. Matthew Ogaraku.
Thank you very much. You made a question, but I think you have answered part of it. Let us start with the fact that when you say European factors, there is no communal European standard. You have mentioned here that British is Anglo-Saxon, and maybe some Scandinavians are European continental, and the case may be. Yes. European Union started some 20 years ago, but they have been countries all this while, and they have different cultures. They have also different economic standards. They also have different stories that made them what they are. Remember, there are also different political systems. Some people are using parliamentary system. Some other people are using semi-presidential system. There are some other areas that have some levels of monarchy. All this has a way it affects the socio-economic fabrics of the citizens and engagement. Another thing that is very important is that, yes, just like you rightly said, Europe is a world that has a very old history, you should know. And because if I should go back to Italy, where they have more family businesses, okay? And this family business is just like the issue of network we have said before, has always kept this network long even before the issue of technological networking came into being. That simply means if there are some people who plant maize and they have their consortium, where at the end of the day you sell your maize to the consortium, this consortium sells it to the factories that produces whatever they produce. So you are there without even knowing, but the structure itself is there. What you do is to engage the structure that you do not know, that has been there even before your great-grandfathers. Because there's this old structure in place, and we are just coming in 20 years ago in Europe, 25 years ago. It will take time for us to build maybe our Europe-oriented engagement. What I have preached from the word go is to build African-oriented engagement. And again, not to be so ambiguous just like I distinguished that of the Europe. You also talk of Nigerian-oriented business, Ghana-oriented business, Togo-oriented, because each country has as well something special they offer, which they can standardize, and they are known for that. Know that. When you say, what do you call it, fried rice, we continue to share, compete with is that Cameroon who owns the fried rice? Is it Nigeria or not? Okay, but fried rice is one of the products from Africa now that is accepted in Europe.
Yes.
I know from North America, couscous has almost become part of the menu in almost European countries. Any big factory now definitely will cook couscous as part of the way they cook rice, the way they cook every other product, because they know that there are a lot of Arabian-oriented people who definitely will go for couscous than your sweet rice and whatever you have it. So we should be able to have such a African-oriented, starting from the country of our own origin, to be able to compete or to be able to try to engage. Because what we try to do is to make a space for ourselves. Again, what I want to let you know that whenever you have an old structure in a developing world, in fast-growing technological development, that you have more chances. My brother Azu mentioned a girl or a doctor that made up an app. That's what many people are doing today.
Yes.
Look at our television. It's no longer the conventional screen you are looking before, where you have what you call it, BBC. Now your television is made up of millions of apps inside it. We go from YouTube to what do you call it, Netflix, to sound, to this or that. These are institutions that are now, you can do it. You don't need to look for the old system, because you build your app, you buy your space in the television system, and then you get it. So here now, a lot of people are engaging. So what I'm trying to say now is that Africans, starting with your origin, should be able to say, this is what is coming from us, which is good, and we like it. And because we are outside there, many that can enjoy it, can make it popular, can be proud of it. By the time we'll be able to do this, people will look at us and say, if they are enjoying this palm wine, let's look at it. In fact, I remember one of my friends when I was living in Italy. He asked me what we eat. We say we eat semolina, and they definitely is supposed to be fufu, but definitely in Italy you do more of flour. So we're able to grind flour together and we ate it together. One of the things that they say, when this is a round thing you are putting, if you fall from your mouth down here, you won't need to break your stomach. However, he ate it, and so it was good. So now that we have the world, and then look at it, in fact, the world is changing good. A lot of women now in Europe are creating their kitchens, and they put it in the social network. They invite you to be part of their platform, and they cook pepper soup to gari to pounded yam, and the more you look at it, the more YouTube pays them. So we are engaging. It's not as if to say we are not doing anything. The idea is for many people to understand what is happening, engage and gradually we'll find our way. I'm not saying that we are totally isolated, no. But knowing fully well that people have been running for more than 2,000 years before you came in, you don't expect to be at the same pace with them. But the important thing is to be systematic, and then we get there.
Thank you so much, Mazi Ogaraku. Yes, finally, Mazi Azu, one question for you, sir. What you highlighted on, you spoke on making money before the sacrifice of building a business. That Nigerians, Africans think of money before the sacrifice of building a business here in Europe. Well, my question is, considering the fact that there are factors also, a person that probably just started a business might need to pay his bill, his light bill, his utility bill. He might need to pay rent or whatever, wherever he's staying. How do business people that just started, startups, how do they scale through this dark period of their business without making it look like the main motive is money making? How do they scale through? What could you say to that, Mazi Azu? Did you understand that, sir?
Well, I think I kind of understand what you are saying.
Yes, sir.
Before I answer that quickly, I'd like to say that from the first question you asked Matthew and the response,
Yes,
I would say that in Europe, they practice a kind of a mixed economy.
that's correct.
A mixed economy that allows each country to be able to function in whatever economic model, whether it's a socially oriented economic model or a conservative oriented economic model as it works for their community or their country. While in Britain, we kind of, in the last 10 years, moved from a neoliberal economy to an absolute pure capital economy and a market-driven economy, where the market determines what happens to the daily deduction or in fluctuations of the economy. And that gives, it's an opportunist economy, where everyone that sees an opportunity dives into it and could wake up in the morning with £1 investment and become a millionaire in the morning. And so, why did I say that we put money first before the outcome of the business? Is because of is one cultural element of most Nigerians, that whatever they do, the interest is about the money.
That's correct.
And not the establishment and sustainability of that business idea and venture. Why the white man, sorry to use that word, always have a successful business is they look into the future. They see greater in 10 years' time of that business. And as such, sacrifice a lot of things. And that is why, as an entrepreneur, you have to understand that you may go through challenges, paying certain bills, taking care of certain expenses as you start up the business. But the most important thing is, do you believe in that business? Do you have the boldness to rely on that business, on that venture, on that creativity, on that innovation? Do you have the rational mindset and the practicality to take the bull by the horn in that business and run with it? Do you understand what it means to be an originality? Do you want to own that business? Do you want that business to speak for you and you speak for that business? Today we talk about apps, ICT, software development. There are so many Nigerians who are developing apps, and some have been developing apps for the last 10 years. But out of all the apps they've developed in the last 10 years, probably one or two has made them who they are. Some people didn't just develop one app and the app became a hit. And an individual can come up with the idea, but at the end of the day, he may end up working with one or two other people to bring that idea to futuristic. And it could have taken them a year, 2 years to develop such an app. We see all kinds of apps now. When Matthew was talking there, I was thinking like, I mean, it is time for Nigerians in the diaspora to have a common app that tells you about all the lawyers, qualified lawyers that are existing in the UK and Europe. Wherever you are, you can punch on that app and get services from them. Nigerians can develop an app that can tell you how many doctors we have. Somebody can come up with that. It's an entrepreneur, like I said earlier, is somebody that is highly creative. Highly creative. That's what entrepreneur about. You know, some people call themselves entrepreneur, but they don't have anything that they are creating. They're not creating any tangible opportunities. They are not developing anything that makes sense. And because they go about doing public speaking, they say they are entrepreneurs. You know, you have to create something. You have to create something. You have to develop something that people can see, tangible things that you can work on, that people can realize that this is original by you. This is you. Yeah. So that is one thing I feel is we begin to look at our subconsciousness about innovation, about creativity, about practical elements of sustaining our businesses. Because we put money first, many businesses owned by Nigerians don't last beyond the creator. Businesses are supposed to live beyond the creator. And that is why today we can see businesses owned by many white companies or whatever in Europe, in the UK, that were created by their great-grandfathers. And because the business was created to last, they ensure that the business is not devoid of the spirit that brought it alive when it was created. And so we as Nigerians also must be able to begin to attach some elements of belief and trust and confidence, the boldness and the originality of any entrepreneurship idea or creativity we bring to reality. And then we'll begin to work it on everything has a good business plan, has a process. Many businesses in Nigeria is in the last 5 years, people begin to think about creating businesses with business plan. Yes. Many people don't create businesses with business plan. They just go and register one company name and they start doing trading or start doing this, they start doing that. But there is no plan. And that is why Nigeria itself as a country is not working in line, because in all honesty, Nigeria does not have a plan. That's correct. They don't have a plan. So they wake up and come up with something and then they drive it. When it ends, they pack up. They bring another thing again, they start it. When it ends, they pack it up. They bring another one. That is no, in this country, they have what they call 10 years plan. Yes. No matter who comes in, he fits into that 10 years plan and ensure that whatever is required for that to come to reality, they do it. And if not, they readjust it and still keep that 10 years plan in every developed country. And also a business must have short time, mid time, long time. Sorry, Mazi Azu, we are going to come on all this. That's why I said this is actually the introductory to this business discussion. So we're going to come to steps towards owning business, the steps. We're going to come to also methods of owning business. So I want you to, think about all that also in our next edition. But today we are introducing this wonderful topic. I must tell you, my very good friends, the discussion alone is important. We've never had this kind of discussion in our European gathering, African, Nigerian, European gathering. You know, discussions are normally social, discussions are normally political, but now we're looking into business. We're looking into SME, small, medium enterprises, where we are looking into issues that will, at the end, impact and help our community. Because the truth of the matter is, my very good friends, we are here in Europe. Even though our love and our interest is in Nigeria, for the meantime, we are here. And I can bet you, most of you are not ready to go and live in Nigeria and live there, at least not in the next couple of years. So while living here in Europe, let's structure
our living. Let's arrange things. Let's build our community. Let's help enhance our community. So I want to thank you. With this, I want to say you guys have done so marvelously well. Honorable Mazi Ogaraku, a great friend, a brother, thank you so much for the inputs and all you have said. Please, we are coming again next week, Wednesday next week. We want to go steps further into the other aspect of creating business, because what I want to do is carry people along with this discussion. Thank you very much, Mazi Azu Godsen. You are truly what you are, a leading political analyst, somebody that has an insight in issues. Thank you for pouring out these ideas and statements to our ears, and hopefully we will begin to practice it. Nigerians in Europe will grow, and it's time. This is that time. So with this, I say, God bless you all. Have your wonderful week. We're coming back next week. The topics will be brought to you, and we'll deliberate. God bless you. Is there anything you want to say? Anybody has anything to say? Any last comments? Thank you. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.